Hello my friends! Okay, so I wanted to shoot a video to show you how I use the MyMathLab with my senior college readiness class. So I've made my cursor really big, and I'll walk you through how I set up a homework assignment. The tests are very similar. Okay, you should be seeing my MyMathLab Pearson page. Here's the sign in. I'll click on that. The cursor is big, probably a little too big. That's the smallest I could make it big, but I don't know what size of screen you're working off of. So if you're working off of a small phone screen, it's like I wanted to make sure you could see what I'm pointing at. All right, so this is the instructor course home. It lists several. I don't use these two. These are like helps that Pearson does for instructors. Here's my class. And this is the instructor course home, and then I can create smaller sections within that. So I've got 2 active student courses. I'll click on that. Here's my shell again. Here's my 2 courses. This is my test one that I used at the beginning just to make sure everything was working correctly. But here's my active one. I've got 23 students enrolled in it. There's the dates right there. So I'll click on this. And here's the instructor's homepage. I've got a menu on the left. I don't normally use anything that pops up in here. It's got a lot of statistics and stuff like that if you want to run through. It's kind of nice what's coming up and so forth. What I do then is I'll come over to Course Tools, click on that, and then I will click on the Assignment Manager. And then this allows me to create and manage individual assignments. Here's all the ones that I've done in the class so far this year. So to create a new assignment, I'll do create assignment. It'll ask me homework, quiz, test, offline item, and so forth. Let's just do a homework question or homework assignment. And now it'll ask me to give it a name. So I'm gonna do MVA Math Department test. Do not work, because I've actually got to import it into my existing senior class, and I told them that they were finished with the assignments for the year, and so I don't want them to look at this after or in the middle of me shooting this video and go, oh my gosh, like we got something else to do. So it's got a little thing here that says send grades to the Canvas grade book. I always want to click that. All right, so next. All right, so now this tells me the name, this tells me the book I'm using right in here, and then I can choose the chapter, the section from the chapter, and individual objectives if I want to, and which question types. So let's do, well, we talked about factoring. Let's do exponents. Exponents, polynomials, and polynomial functions. So it'll take me to that chapter, that's chapter 5. All sections, let's do, all right, integer exponents, adding and subtracting polynomials, polynomial functions. These are the different sections from the textbook. Let's just do integer exponents and scientific notation. Start from there. So now it'll populate this list here with all the different possible questions. There are 73 total. If you hover over it, you can get a little preview of it, but that's too small for me to see. On the left column is the difficulty level, and then you can individually select and do bulk moves or stuff like that. Usually what I will do is I will come down here and I want to look at each one of them. So I'll do preview and add. It'll pop up with the first question. So it tells me the chapter, it tells me which types of assignments or assessments I can choose this question for, homework, tests, and quizzes. Over here on the right, it'll tell me the number of items in my homework is 0 so far. Previewing 1 of 73, and it tells me the difficulty, which is this question is moderately difficult. It'll give me the median time it takes students that do this question to get it done, and it'll tell me the number correct on the first try. This information right here is useful, at least for me most of the time. So here's just a true-false question. Decide whether the statement is true or false, and it tells you the right answer there is true with the little green star. And you can select to show different things. You can work the problem yourself as a student to see what it's like. You can actually ask students to show work. I've never used that, but that's interesting. Like we were talking about being able to show work. Usually I want to see the answer because the answer helps me figure out maybe how difficult it would be. Somebody sent me an email. All right, so I will add that question, and it will then go to the next one. This one's true, false. Let's skip that one. This one, simplify the expression 8 to the 5th times 8 to the 6th. Now, this one says it's a moderate level question, 43 seconds to take, and 74% get it on the first try. But they have to type it into the blue box there. The blue box is where they would type in their answer. And notice it gives instructions. Simplify your answer. Type exponential notation with positive exponents. If you just type in whatever 8 to the 11th is as a big number, well, probably too big to fit. But anyway, if you type that in there, it's not going to do it because it says to type it with exponential notation. And so the kids have to read the directions, the blue instructions on how to input their answers and do it properly. So I will click add. If I wanted to do it, if I wanted a similar question, I'm not sure I like that one. Rescramble. Oh, this one's 2. Okay, maybe I wanted a smaller base or something like that. All right, I'll click that one. All right, this one's now b to the 4th, b to the 7th times b cubed. And again, they have to type their answer in there. This one up in the corner, it says it's easy and the median time is 33 seconds and correct on the first try 90.3%. That's a super easy question. Okay, I'll click add that one. That'll add that to the assignment. Come on, come on, come on. I'm moving my mouse too much when I click, so it wants me to slide. Add. Okay, then it reset. Use the product rule to simplify. And again, the kids have to type in. Simplify the coefficient. So they don't want you to type in 8 times 6. They want you to type in 48. Okay, and then type using an exponent. I'll add that one. That's another one where you type the answer. And most of these are just answer entry. This one gives you the option. You can choose the A. The simplified expression is this, and then you type the answer in that box. But the correct answer is the product rule doesn't apply. You cannot use an exponent rule when you don't have the same base. So here's one where it's kind of catching to see if students understand the concept of how and when to use it. I'll add that one, and it will then switch to the next one. This one's got some multiple parts. I really can't see that too well, so I'm going to click this and maximize it. It'll give me a little more room. Match each expression in column 1 with its equivalent in column number 2. And so which of the expressions is equivalent to 9 to the 0? Multiple choice on this one. But now there's multiple levels. Part B, multiple choice. Part C, multiple choice. Okay. I will click next. You can make this one 1 point, which is what the default is. And so each question then you can either say all or nothing. You got to get them all correct for the 1 point, or you can choose partial credit afterwards, and so that it will then allocate whatever fraction of a whole point that you want for each one of those. If there's 4 of them, each one's worth a 4th. Each individual answer is worth a 4th. If you wanted to make it more question points, I can come down here and make this question worth 5 points. And then if I do partial credit and there's only 4 parts, that means each part is what? 5/4 of a point. 1.25 points in there. So it'll do the sectioning there of your how many points versus how many parts. Okay, so maybe I'll add that one and it'll go on to the next one. This one, 5 to the 0 is what? Simplify your answer, and it says type an integer or a decimal. If you type in a fraction, it's not going to take it. All right? Kids have to know what an integer is. One of the biggest trouble that kids have with this initially is, Mr. Marsh, what's an integer? Like, you're going to learn it sooner or later. Like, that ought to be an exit question for seniors that graduate. Tell me what an integer is. But anyway, so I will skip that one. That's another one. That's another one. Oh, they're asking questions like -5 to the 0, but the negative's not part of the base, right? That answer is -1. The next question puts the negative in with the base, and so -3 quantity to the 0, that's actually 1. So it helps the kids, you can pick these that'll help sort out the concept that you're working on. Is the negative part of the base or not? That one's just another answer entry. That one's an answer entry. And all the way up here, I can always check what's the difficulty level, what's the time it takes students on average to do this, and how many get it correct in the first try. So if I want to make a hard quiz, I can skip some of these easier ones or a hard assignment and do some of the harder ones. And if I want to manage the time properly, in the end I'll show you. You can go back and see what your total time would be on average. So this one is another matching one with multiple parts. I'll skip that one. This one, 6 to the -2. Now here we go. It says simplify your answer, type an integer or a fraction. It will not let you do it as 1 over 6 squared. It says type an integer or a fraction. So the kids have to pay attention to the format and list it that way. Sometimes it'll say, as you saw, type an exponential format. Sometimes it'll say give a simplified fraction or an integer or something like that. If it's a decimal, it'll say give the decimal to 2 decimal places or to the 1,000th place or something like that. Or it will say give it in simplified radical form. So the kids have to understand what that instruction is and then format their answer correctly. That one's just straight multiple choice. I'll do this one here because I want to show you what that looks like from the student's point of view. It says use integers or fractions for any numbers in the expression, but it's 1 over 32x to the 5th. So let's add that one. I'm looking for some drop-down menu ones. I haven't seen any yet. Some of the ones involve like vocabulary, and the kids have to pick the right vocabulary term to fill in the blank. Here's one involving a fraction to the -2. Right, type of fraction or a mixed number. They're going to have to then reciprocate it and then square all the pieces and input it properly. Most of these are simply answer. Oh, here we go. Here's one. It says divide and simplify. The question, if you can see it, the box that they have to input is only the denominator. It's only asking you what the denominator is. So in a sense, it's helping the student understand a little bit of how to input the answer. And the answer is 48 to the 30th. Now, it says simplify your answer, so you can't have anything on top and the bottom. You've got to bring everything down to where it belongs in the bottom. But it says type an exponential notation with positive exponents. You're not allowed to put it in the numerator with a negative exponent. Something like that. Multiple choice, entry, 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 entry. Preview item, we're now at question number 42 out of 73, so it'll tell you how many you've got left. It'll tell you what the objective is for each one. So if it was something like multiplying monomials with exponents, it would list that there. I'm trying to find different question types. Oh, question helps. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. You can actually pick which question helps it will give you. Help me solve this takes this particular question and walks the student through step by step how to solve it. And they have to input information somehow to go on to the next step. So it requires some input from them to proceed in that process. And then when that's finished, it will then reset and give them a different question that's the same skill but different numbers. View an example will actually give them a different question that's just a simple example like you would find in a textbook with commentary on what to do. Doesn't require them to do anything other than just read it. If you choose textbook, if they click this, it will take them to the part of the textbook that teaches the skill. Print allows them to print out the question and do it on paper if they want to. Then these two, ask the publisher. I've never used that. Add instructor tip. If you wanted to give them a hint of some kind, you could do that. And then sometimes there's a video lesson as well, although this one doesn't have one, so it's not listed here. But sometimes there'll be a video lesson, quick 4-minute, 5-minute, 2-minute, something like that on how to do this particular kind of question. So that would be question helps. Next, input, 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 input. And they get harder as you go on, so you can choose the level of difficulty. And since this is a college book, for my high school students, probably about a third of the questions that are available are really beyond them at this point. So you can fine-tune it to be kind of as easy or as challenging as you like. Occasionally, there's questions that doesn't have questions that I would want. Say like in factoring, like I wanted factoring a trinomial. I wanted the leading coefficient to be a negative number, but not 1. And then I wanted the kids to have to do that using the AC method or splitting the grouping method. Maybe that particular one's not on there with a negative leading coefficient other than 1. I could create it and then add it in. This one is convert to scientific notation, and it says use the multiplication symbol in the math palette as needed. Don't use X on the keyboard because that's a variable. I've actually got a rubber stamp that I use when students use X with writing, and the stamp just says X is a variable. We don't use X in algebra to multiply stuff and stuff like that. So it's making them be specific about the formatting that they use. So more entry. I haven't seen any drop down. I thought there was going to be some drop downs on this, like bases and exponents and stuff like that. But that might have been in one of the earlier chapters where it was introducing the concept. I'm at question 68 now out of 73. And they get, oh, so here's like a story question. I don't want to call it a problem. We have enough problems as it is without adding math to the problem list. But so their story questions are oftentimes very similar or identical to the ones out of the book, at least that I've seen. Sometimes the book has got some different ones, but a lot of times they're the same things, just with different numbers and so forth. This one's difficulty level hard. Average time is 1 minute and 41 seconds. Correct in the first try is 14.8%. So that might be one of the ones you'd have to decide if that was good for your students or not. So this is the last question now. If I click next, nothing happens. So now if I click close, it takes me back to this screen. And now here's my homework assignment. There's the questions that I've got. Here's the question numbers in the assignment. Here's the question numbers as the publisher had given them. Chapter 5, section 1, question 1, and so forth. Now, right up here, it gives me the estimated time for students to do this assignment. And it says 6 minutes, 26 questions. There are 8 questions total, 12 points total. That's because I made one of them 5 points, if you remember. Here's the individual time for each individual question, but it gives me an estimated time. When I go over now, I'm going to do, you can preview and remove the ones you've gotten. If you wanted a shorter assignment, you could do preview and remove. It would show you the ones that you've picked, and you can then get rid of them if you wanted to. I'm going to do next. Now, here's how I set up the settings for the assignment. It's available on what day. If you wanted to make the available date later on in the future, I want this to be available in the week, we'll do that. Otherwise, it defaults to today. Pick the due date, very similar to Canvas. I'm going to make this due on May the 11th, Monday. And pick the time. I always have mine due at 11 o'clock p.m., not midnight, because a lot of other teachers have their assignments due at midnight, and I want my kids to do the math first. So, but you can click whatever time that you want. Chapter associations, it's chapter 5. You can associate it with some other things in the book if you want to. Here we go, scoring options. Late submissions. Can a kid work late? Okay, I will allow a kid to work late. Maybe for the math department we would say, no, not on an assignment, you can't work late at all. But if you wanted to allow the students to work and change the score after the due date, you could require a password so that they have to get a password from you in order to do it. And you just give that out to individual students if they have a need for it. Require final submission. Can they work on it indefinitely? No, I want them to have that finished the day before the test. Well, I don't know, what is that, the 14th or something like that. Again, pick the time, 11 o'clock. Do you want to deduct their score if it's late? Well, yeah. So let's do deduct late penalty. You want to do it from the final score, or do you want to do it per day from the final score? So in the past, I've done it per day. So let's say 10%, and you could do 10% or points. 10% per day. You get it done a day afterwards, you get maxed out at 90. You get it done 2 days afterwards, you get it maxed out at 80%. Or you could do just a blank deduction. You can apply it only to questions scored after the due date. Well, what if they didn't get 2 questions and they go back in there and they finish those 2 questions after the due date? Do you want to take off the penalty for the entire assignment? Or just the ones that they scored after the due date? So you can click that if you want to. And here we go. Allow partial credit on questions with multiple parts. That one that had 5 parts and I assigned 5 points to it, since I click that one now, it will give, no, there were 4 parts. It'll give 5/4 of a point for everyone that they got right. If you don't click this, they've got to get all 4 of those right to get the 5 points. Prerequisites. I've never used prerequisites. Somehow there's a way to change that. Attempts per question. I oftentimes did not want to give students an unlimited attempts at a question. So I will click that, and my usual set was 3. They have 3 attempts before they move on. Now, when you go back into, if they're doing the question helps, like the help me solve this or view an example or things like that, if they utilize one of those helping tools, it uses up one of those attempts. So they have to kind of manage that. Do I want to try it on my own first and see if I get it wrong and then use to help me solve this and then have one last chance to do it? So what was that game show like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something like that? And they had different helps, phone a friend or something. It's something like that. You can make this as many as you want, or you can do an infinite number of ones. On the homework assignment, indicate and lock all correct answers after each question. Do you want to stop the kids from changing a wrong answer after they've gotten it right? You could do that. You always want to save the question values and student answers so that you have a record of what the correct answer was and what they put. I always click that. You do the printing. You can do the learning. This is where you go and change the different learning aids if you want to. You can check those. I want this one, but not that one. For the homework, I usually just do them all. You can set up particular ones for tests. Like if you want to give a certain type of a hint on a test, you're okay to do that too. Graphing. All right, so if they were to graph something, allow students to move points by typing coordinates. I will check this because oftentimes kids are doing it on an iPad, and if you're trying to plot points by touching the iPad screen at a certain spot, that can be very nerve-wracking, especially if they can't enlarge the graph all that much. So I will do this, and they can type in the coordinate to start and go from there. Importing. Allow other instructors to import this assignment. This is like if you're teaching with a team or something like that. You can make the assignment, and other teachers can come grab that and import that in there, of course. All right, so save just saves it. Save and assign then makes it available for the students to work on. And it's down here on the bottom here because it's my 76th assignment that I've done. There it is. Okay. If I wanted to change it, I could come back here and unassign. I could edit it. I could copy it. I could delete it. Settings for the class, or I can give students individual settings. Let's say a student, I got one student right now with a concussion. I could give her an extension on that deadline just for her, not for anybody else. Or if I wanted to do different settings for a different class, if I've got multiple sections, I could set it up that way where the time, like if it's a quiz, this class gets to work on it between 8 and 9. This class gets to work on it between 10 and 11 if you didn't want somebody from the earlier class getting in too soon or too late or something like that. So then let me go over now to Canvas. Here's my college readiness page. I'm going to click on MyLab and Mastering, which is the link to Pearson. And I want to do, here's some different links that'll take you. This one right here will take you to the home. I'll show you that in a minute. I want to do grade sync because I have to tell Canvas, yes, you can use that assignment. So let me come down here and get it. Here we go. MVA math test department, math department test do not work. I'll click on that. These are the current active ones in this class, and it's auto sync enabled, which means as soon as the student's finished, it will import their stuff. But I want to do a manual import right now, so I will do sync grades now. Now, is it working? Is it working? Sometimes, yeah, there. I got the little pinwheel spinny thing. Okay, this one's synced. It's syncing the other ones right now. And come on. There we go. So if I come over now to grades, quarter 4, there we are. There's the assignment right there. So I can look at the students' grades. Now, how will the students find it? The students can find it by coming into assignments. And where is it? Here we go, right there. If I decided now in MyMathLab, it is set up as an assignment, which means the students can check each answer as they go through, question by question by question. They can take it multiple times if they need to, and so forth like that. But if I wanted to in Canvas make it a test, I can then come over here and move it to my test category. So in MyMathLab, it has all the features of a assignment and all the different assistance methods or multiple attempts that would do. But in Canvas, I want to take that for a test grade. There it is right there, and you can move it around. So the MyMathLab allows you to pick the kind of the formatting for what it will allow you to do in terms of student assistance and things like that. A test won't show you the answers or whether you're getting any of the questions right. You just have to put all your answers in and then click submit, and there it goes. And then on Canvas, I can put it in whichever category that I want it in. And let's say that the student wants to go look at it. They can find it also in the calendar. So here's Monday. There it is right there. Click on that. This is the class. And if I click on this, it'll actually open up in Canvas the MyMathLab shell for me to take to do the assignment. Here's the questions. I'll click on the first one. And there it is. And notice I'm still in Canvas, so it's embedded within Canvas, and I can answer it in here. If I wanted to do a question help or something like that, here, help me solve this. This is what the student sees. I can't really change this window. See how it's like it's set up within a window within Canvas? It's restricted there. So I don't recommend that the students do it in Canvas. What I recommend that they do is if they come over to My Lab and Mastering. Oh no, you're going to leave and you're not done. Okay, that's all right. And if they click on the course homepage, it'll actually take them out of Canvas into just the internet browser for MyMathLab. And then here's the students. This would be what the students would see. I want to view the student home. The instructor home is default for me with my login. Here's the student's view. Here's things that are due next. Here's all the ones that I haven't done as a student. I got a lot of work to do. But so Monday there's an assignment due. Here it is. And so if they click on that, then they go to question number 1. This is already telling me I've got it wrong because I started it and I haven't answered it correctly. Notice it's a much bigger window. You can maximize it if you want to. And it'll maximize it on an iPad. Hey, that's true. And it will then do, now it says final check. That's because I clicked on it once, that started it. Remember I said 3 times? I clicked on it once, and then while I was in Canvas, I clicked on question help, and it used up one of those options. So now I've only got one option left. Final check, did I get it right? Whew, nice work, next question. This one here. Okay, so question help. Help me solve this. So it'll bring this up. It'll use the same question, and then it'll ask you, if the bases are the same, add the exponents. Are the bases the same? What? Well, yes, they are. Now I can go on to the next one. Now the next hint is, since the bases are the same, then you add the exponents to keep the base. Now it's gonna show me here base 8, and I have to just type in the exponent, and now it gives me a template. I can do a fraction, I can do a mixed number, which I hate, by the way. I don't like mixed numbers. And then an exponent, there's an absolute value, there's a square root, there's a nth root. You can type in both the index and the radicand. Here's a subscript, here's an ordered pair, or there's more. But in this case, all I have to do now, notice the blue box is highlighted, which means I'm in there. All I have to do now is add them. What's 6 plus 5? 11. And then check the answer. Good job, thank you. And then I'm done, so close. Oh no, it changed the question. You don't get just the answer to the question that you just successfully answered. It gives you a different one. Okay, I'm bored with this question. I want to jump ahead. What else is there to do? I can do question number 7. You can skip around. Let's see here. Use integers or fractions for any numbers in the expression. So if I click here, notice it gives me this template down here again. I can choose different formats. And if I want more, there's all kinds of things. This is undo, redo. Here's some arrows. Here's some basic templates. Here's some symbols that you might want to use, and so forth like that. So sometimes there'll be different templates for different things. Not all of them are here. Close that out. So which was the one? There was one that had the different parts. Maybe you're bored with this already. This is getting long. Oh, here's the different parts. You have to pick each one. Anyway, let me show you what it does if you get a question wrong. So question number 3, simplify that. I'm going to say, I can type in with my keyboard, it should be Z, and I need to do an exponent. I'm going to add these, so that should be 18. I'm going to use the exponent thing here. Notice the gray box just says you've already got the base. The blue is what you're inputting, so superscript, and it gives me a little blue box up there, but I'm going to goof up the exponent, and I'm going to call it 10. And then I'm going to check the answer. No, and then it tells me to do something. Okay, try it again. 18, check answer. Okay, good. Next question. Move on, right? So anyway, if you were to set up a quiz or a test, it would be very, very similar. But on the test, you can choose, obviously, to make it password protected. You can choose to have the kids take it on a lockdown browser, which will, once they click start, it will bring up the browser and push everything else in the background, and then they cannot leave that screen until they click submit. And you can actually do that with a lockdown browser with a calculator, so a kid doesn't even have to have a calculator. You can use a scientific calculator or a basic calculator that's part of the program. What else? I think that's about it. If you are still watching, you have a lot of patience. Thanks for watching this. It's probably too long, but I think it's a good system. You can fine-tune it to use it as much or as little as you want, and it gives the kids a chance to work independently. And I think Candace has got a little poster up in her room which says, in the end, the goal of teaching is to teach kids to learn independently of a teacher. Yes! This lets them kind of explore and do what they can on their own and learn without actually having to be dependent upon you or me. So anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to the time when we're all back at the same building together at the same time, because I miss your lovely faces. Bye-bye.